Hello, everybody. This is Horde, the Professor Teaserking, as we to be called. Let's just take a look at anything that's changed today. So I'm looking at the line. So let's see. Michigan State's gone down to 4.5. I don't see an injury, so I'm a little curious. Maybe a Rutgers player is playing. I'm still mystified by UCF laying 10 to East Carolina with their backup quarterback. Ohio State's gone up to 21. I see 21.5. Georgia Tech's 4 over Duke. Western Michigan's gone to 12 over Ball State. Let's see. Louisville 2.5, 69.5. So I would assume the Louisville quarterback's playing in this game because the line hasn't changed. So he was questionable. So if he plays, it's probably a good over. Virginia, neither team has a defense. They both can score. Let's see. Air Force has went down to 5 over Wyoming. Just some Wyoming action. BYU is now up to 6 against Boise. Oregon State still 3.5. It's a strange number, 3.5. You just, why isn't it 3? And then why isn't it 4? I mean, how do you settle at 3.5 there? Let's see. Well, there's 1-4. There's 2 4s. I like Oregon State laying the 3.5, but we will see. USC is still 3. SMU staying at 13.5. TCU's went to 2 from 1.5. Georgia's 15 from 14.5. And the over-unders, when I saw some at 47.5, I bet it's 46.5 now, where I would think. Georgia had some questionable players on defense, but they must be playing. I don't know how to read questionable. I think questionable means they're probably playing unless they're doubtful. And some of them, they just, in the pros, it's like the whole team's listed as questionable and then they all play. So unless they're out or really doubtful, you just ignore the questionable, especially in the pros. Kentucky went down to 2.5 against LSU, was 3. LSU has some injuries. Stingley, the best cornerback in the country, is out, but I don't think Kentucky can throws the ball that well to bother that. Baylor went down to 2.5. Let's see. Florida went to 39 from 38. It's a big number, but Vanderbilt's terrible. Florida off the loss. Question is Florida's offense. Are they going to score 50 points? Probably, but it's a big number for a Florida team that runs the ball as much as they do. I'm not seeing a lot of dramatic. Wisconsin went to 11 against Illinois. Oklahoma, Texas, 3.5, 64. So the over on the line did move from 63 to 64, which is what I thought. that game I did think it would go over. Michigan, Nebraska. Michigan's down to 2.5 from 3.5, and over under 50 is still there. So again, will Michigan be flat? And I don't think they're gonna. I think Nebraska can win this game. I think it'll be definitely a close game, and we'll see what happens. But I don't think Michigan blows out Nebraska. Wisconsin gave them some interceptions, right? And they converted the touchdowns. Nebraska, the quarterback, if you like Martinez or not, or it's an option, won't turn the ball over now. This is the thing when you start betting on a senior, he's not going to make those stupid mistakes and the turnovers. So look for him. Probably have a pretty good game. And Nebraska's settling down. They have a very good defense, and they're settling down offensively. Look for them to run the ball a lot. Central Michigan down from 6-5. Their quarterback was questionable, Richardson. They will kill Ohio if their quarterback plays. Even we don't know the backup. This is a problem with the Central, but Ohio's terrible, so Central should win that game. Alabama went to 18 and some 17.5. Not surprising. Arkansas, Mississippi is 5.5, down from 6. So there is Arkansas action on the game. Southern Miss and UTEP 2.5, down to 1.5. So there's some Southern Miss action. I don't know why. I don't know how you bet on a Southern Miss. Texas San Antonio, Western Kentucky. Western Kentucky's laying 3.5. So it was 3.5. So now it's down to 3s. UTSA is an outstanding team and won at Memphis. So definitely a live dog today. Our Iowa Penn State game, I'm seeing a lot of 1.5s and a 2. So money is on Penn State, over under 41.5. Yeah, so again, this is tight game. People taking the dog. Notre Dame, VTech. You could have either team -1. They're both there, so I don't know. I don't really have an opinion on this game. Virginia Tech's a very strong team, very strong defensively. Notre Dame is not. They're a passing team, so it wouldn't surprise me if Virginia Tech got the W here. UCLA laying 16 to Arizona. That number stayed. San Diego State 19.5. That number stayed. And Nevada down to 28.5 from 30. So that's a look at the line changes. Nothing really spectacular changing. Any questions or comments, let me know. Again, there might be some quarterback changes that are like game time decisions. And of course, you can't predict injuries, during the game. The Army quarterback, they don't play. Penix at Indiana, they're not playing, or they're playing, a weak team. Central over Ohio. Let me see if the quarterback, if they got any news on the quarterback for Central. If he plays, that's a good bet since Central over Ohio. Ohio is just terrible. Let's see. Let's see if I see anything new. Boise's got a lot of players listed as questionable, and that's where you don't know. There's only one guy out for the season, and that happened September 17th. So all these are October 4th. So these are Monday. They're questionables, but this is the problem. They're not really updating the injury, so you don't know. Same thing with BYU. Quarterback Hall is probable, but their starter is Romney, but he's questionable. So his brother's on the team as a wide receiver, so he likes throwing to him. So it could be different with Hall. Let's see. Again, UCF, Gabriel's out with the collarbone, so you get the backup out there. All right, Central. Richardson, the quarterback, who I'd be interested in, is just says questionable, dated Wednesday, October 6th. So, again, we just don't know if he's playing or not. If you look at the line, it's went down a little, but nothing dramatic. So any questions, any games you guys are interested in? I think the key games today, obviously, the Penn State, Iowa, the Texas, Oklahoma, the Michigan, Nebraska, Baylor, West Virginia should be a good game. Air Force, Wyoming is a good game. Boise, BYU. I don't understand East Car, UCF, that line at all. I don't know why UCF's a 10-point favorite. East Car's a good offensive team. They should score. UCF has the backup quarterback in, so I don't get that line. Michigan State, Rutgers, that line has dropped to 4.5. So I like Michigan State there. I'm trying to figure out. I don't see an injury to Michigan State. Let me go back in. So I'm going to covers.com, and they have the injury list, but again, it's not like updated for this morning. So if I go to Michigan State, so some wide receiver, White, who I don't know who he is. The backup quarterback's questionable. So there's a linebacker out. There's a wide receiver out. And a couple of questionables, a defensive end, but he's been out since September 29th. And you got to read that also. When these guys are out for a while, if they're out since, September, they've already learned how to play without the guy. So that's what you look at. If they're a new injury, then that's a different story. If you lose a starter, but if it's been out since August, it's immaterial. They've already moved on and got the backup in, and they're playing. Georgia, Auburn should be a good game. That defense, is just powerful. Well, let's talk about teasers for a minute. So in teasers, there's a basic. It's an art form, not a science. You have to bet it properly. If you bet straight, I don't know how many games people bet. Are you betting 5 games straight? Are so you got to win 3 and lose 2, and you make a little bit of money. So really, we're talking how do you make money betting teasers? What's the strategy? What's the there's 2 things. There's money management, which means you take your bankroll, you figure out your units, and then as you see games. So my whole thing is I'm analyzing, right? So I'm looking at who do I like in the game. So that's the first thing. So I'm looking at injuries. I'm looking at how do you rank the team. So the ranking of the team's important to figure out. I want to bet against the Z. I want to take an A. If you got Oklahoma versus Texas, I probably want to take the dog. So all that comes by categorizing the team. That gives you then, okay, I like this game. So Let's look at Penn State and Iowa. So a lot of questions on who do I like and who do they bet, and you categorize the team. Well, Penn State won at Wisconsin. Penn State beat Auburn. They just killed Indiana. So Penn State looks good. They got a good quarterback. They're well coached. Their defense is strong. They're an A team because they got a good quarterback, they got a good offense, and they got a good defense. And then you do the same thing with Iowa. They're well coached. I don't think their quarterback's as good as Penn State's, and they got a very good defense. So they're an A. So pretty much you have two teams that are very similar. So you just look at the points on the game and you go, I'm going to take the underdog. And this is a game where how much do you want to risk? So you look at the risk of the game. You go, I don't want to risk a lot because I don't know what's going to happen. Both teams are good. What I do is I take it to the next level and I look for the strong team versus the weak team. So a perfect example of that today is UCLA, Arizona. So UCLA, very strong team. They score a ton of points. They got good coach, quarterback's good. The defense is a little weak, so they're going to score a lot of points, but they're going to give up some. And they're playing Arizona, who's not very good. I list them as a Z. So I'm thinking the point spread's going to be 30 points. UCLA is going to kill them. Spread comes out at 16. I go, wow, that's a huge mistake. I can lay 10. So now I got UCLA 10. So I got a very strong, powerful offense who's going to score 50 points against the team that has a weak defense and not much offense. So UCLA should easily win by 10 points. So once I've developed that, I then look at, okay, well, let's put them in more than one teaser. Because if I play 4 teams and 2 teasers for $100 each, I'm going to probably win 3 of the games, lose 1, and I break even and I lose juice. So I want to get the odds better in my favor. So I'll put UCLA in 2 teasers. I might put them in, with maybe Nebraska under or the Penn State, Wisconsin or Penn State, Iowa game, take the dog. Or I might put them with a pro team like Dallas or Minnesota or Baltimore and just play them in college with pro. I'm looking for the best too. So that's the first part. Okay. Then it's how much. So that's why I differentiate the units. If you see my history and if you buy my picks, you'll see different units, right? I'll play a 25 unit lock this week. I think I have a 17 unit lock going. I have a college pro lock going today. So how did I develop it? Well, I love the game, the college game, and it's a feel game. You look at it, it's pretty obvious to me this is what's going to happen. And that's because I've done it so long and I've seen it many times in many years what's going to happen. So I know what's going to happen. And then I find another team that's strong and then I put it. So then I'll play the lock, 17 units. Now, what a unit is, it's up to everybody's bankroll. I mean, it could be a $200 bet. It could be a $500 bet. Depending, if the guy's a millionaire, he might bet 10 grand on it. If the guy's got $1,000, he might bet 50 on it. So your bankroll is the key. And the goal is to build your bankroll. So when you see this lock, you bet accordingly. So it won't kill you if you lose it. We think we're going to win it. So obviously we put more units on it. But if you bet 2 teasers, we'll keep it simple, and you bet them each for 100, you're probably going to lose because you're probably going to go 3-1. Those are the probabilities. Even in a teaser, you're not going 4-0. You will, but not a lot. You can't bet on it that you're going to go 4-0. So then you put in you differentiate it. So if you bet 200 on one teaser and 50 on the other, as long as you win, you like both bets, but as long as you win the 200, you're going to win. So you can win 200, lose 50. So you can go 3-1 and make money. That's how you bet teasers. But to do that, you got to find the team. And that's why you hear me talking about A teams and Z teams. So I'm looking for Z teams to bet against. I'm looking for like betting against Houston with Mills tomorrow. That's it. That's a Z team. Houston's terrible. I doubt they'd beat Alabama or Georgia. So that's what you're looking for. You're looking for that. If anybody has any questions or any plays, please just type them in. So that's what you're looking at is what what you have, and then that's why I differentiate it, and that's why I put teams in 2 teasers. It's a different animal, teasers. It's a different world. It's a if you liked UCLA, you might bet them for 500 in the straight bet, and if you like Texas, see. What it is it's hard to bet Penn State. Why do I bet teasers? Okay, Penn State, Iowa is a perfect example. You got Iowa laying 2. That's a damn hard bet. Do I want Penn State +2? That's really, really risky. But if you can tease it up to 8, and now you got Penn State and 8, that bet went from I don't know to wow, that's a real good bet. You got a live dog. You got a team that could win. It's an even game. Or like Oklahoma, Texas, taking the 9.5 makes it much easier versus taking the 3.5. So that's why we bet the teasers. Why we differentiate the bet. When you find that real strong, the UCLA or New England over Houston tomorrow, you then put it in multiple teasers because you already got the winner, right? That one's going to win. So let's put it in 2 teasers. That'll help me be a winner for the week. So, and that's what you try to do is just win each week, and then you win at the end. And then, so what you do is differentiating the amounts. So first you find your teams, then you put the amounts in, and then all you're trying to do is build the bankroll. So if your bankroll is $5,000, and then you win this week, you win next week, now your bankroll is $5,500. Now, instead of betting $100, let's say in a teaser, you make it $150, and then you build the bankroll to $6,000, and then your $150 goes to $200. So you're slowly building. You're winning the week. You're adding to the bankroll. Then you make bigger bets. So that's what I do that religiously. And when I was a kid, it would be 100 a game, and then it would, by the end of the year, it was up to, my lock would be 500 from 100. One Saturday in 77, I went 17-0. I couldn't believe it. Every game came in. So I'm up 1,700. So then it's just, you want to quit the week a winner, so you bet accordingly on Sunday. Hey, Alex, how you doing? Not much. I found this live feed so I can have more of a conversation. So I'm enjoying, I can help people better with their questions on here. So if you have any games, Alex, I know you're like a Texas, Oklahoma guy. I guess I like the over in the game, and maybe, I don't know, Texas and 9.5. I don't know. Rattler doesn't do anything for me, but welcome here. So that was it. So I won I was 17, but I won 1,700. So I think I won 17 games or 15 games. It was like, because I'll play a lot, because I'll see a lot of games that I like. And then, again, you're looking at a teaser. And remember, the line itself is not a teaser line. So when they make Oklahoma 3.5 over Texas, that's the straight line. Then you can play around with it with the teaser, and you go, wow, I can get Texas in 9.5. I can get Penn State in 8.5. A lot of times I'll look at the first line, like Minnesota's playing Detroit, and that came out at 7, and I knew I wanted Minnesota right away, so I bet it as early as I could, laying 1. Now the spread went up to 10. Well, laying 1, keeping it under 3 versus now laying 4 is huge. That's why you look at the opening line and you try to do, some hunched plays that, okay, I know I'm betting against Detroit. Minnesota's off a loss. They're pissed off. You can tell when a pro team really wants to play is all their players that are injured are now probable and they're going to play. That means they're pissed and they're going to play. On the Lions, most of them go questionable and don't play because none of them care. That's why we keep betting against the Lions. I'm a Horns fan. Oh, okay. So lay off Texas. I never win. Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember our Texas, Oklahoma years ago. I like Ohio State to blow out Maryland. They should. I mean, Maryland's weak, but they do have the offense, so they could score a little bit on you. I got 20.5. I think that line went to 21, over under 68. That's a big over to get to. But yeah, it's a tough one. I'd rather play UCLA over Arizona because Arizona stinks and UCLA can score 50. Uh, so a lot of it is picking who do you want to bet on, and you got to look at all options first. It's sort of like buying a stock. You look at 20 companies and you figure out, well, what's the best earnings per share, what's the best PE ratio, what's the best cash flow, and then I go, okay, and if there's one company better than another, I put my money into that company. Same thing here. Is that the best bet on the board? Ohio State. I took Ohio State first half minus 14. Yeah, that's probably better. They usually will come out on fire and get the big lead, and then they bring in the second team, third team in the fourth quarter. That's what you got to watch out. Not in this game, but in some of these games. Although Coastal Carolina really put up a big 52, and Cincinnati murdered Temple yesterday. I thought that line was a little high after the Notre Dame game, but they came in. Is Alabama the strongest college team? I think Georgia is going to give them all they want. Alabama's the best offensive college team. Georgia's the best defensive college team. So overall, I think Georgia might beat Alabama with that defense. If that defense is as strong as it looks, Alabama's going to have a hard time getting points on it, and Georgia's going to run it down their throats. But it's those two are head and shoulders above everybody else. Yeah, I can see Maryland backdooring and losing by 20. Yeah, well, that's the thing. They have the good quarterback. The question is Ohio State's defense going to do what Iowa's did and pick them 5 times and get easy scores? That's how you get a high number, right? The turnovers. So if they do that, absolutely. But Maryland's, they're good. They're a good offensive team. Their defense sucks. So, but I think Ohio State brings in the second team tailback, who's just as good as the first team tailback. It just keeps running it down their throat, eating the clock up. So, yeah, I can see a big, Ohio State should win the game by 30, but we'll see. I played a Bama Georgia teaser. Yeah, absolutely. I played Bama. I actually played Georgia under. 53.5. That game won't get anywhere near 53.5. They shut out Arkansas. They'll probably shut out Auburn. I was watching the Auburn LSU highlights. You go on YouTube and you can see like a 20-minute highlight from the last game. And it goes through all 4 quarters and pretty much all the big plays. So I watched that, and Auburn got lucky on a couple of touchdowns by against LSU, but good luck, getting 10 points on this Georgia defense. I mean, it's just, they remind me of Army the last few years, where I just bet Army under and won like 90% of the Army games went under. So it was an automatic. This year they're scoring because of their quarterback, and be careful. Army's off this week. Make sure that Anderson, the quarterback, is playing, and I'll let you know. He didn't play last week, and you can see the difference when the backup quarterback comes in a wishbone and he doesn't know what he's doing. The defense kills you. You got a good quarterback who knows what he's doing. That's a whole different thing. So that's where the quarterback matters. Yeah, I took Bama. I took Georgia under. I played them with. I got Georgia under. I think with the Vikings is my play. When the Vikings were laying, I think 8 to the Lions. Now that line's up to 10, so it's a little bit more risky, but they should kill them because they're pissed off losing to Cleveland, and the Lions do not present a defense that's going to stop even Kirk Cousins, who's a choker. But that's what I looked at. But SMU, I think, is a good play against Navy today, laying 13.5. You get them down to 7.5. Navy stinks this year. SMU is going to put up 40 points at least because they do anything. Their quarterback, Mordecai, came from Oklahoma. He's like 26 touchdowns and 4 picks. The nearest guy to him is like a 19 or 18. So he lights it up. That's what you want in a quarterback, somebody who scores touchdowns. Um, a good dog I like is Florida Atlantic. UAB's laying 4. I had Florida Atlantic as the favorite in the game. Florida Atlantic is they score a lot. UAB doesn't score. I don't like their quarterback at all. And you're getting 10 points with a team with a good quarterback and a good team. I like that. I took that Florida Atlantic in the 10. I got Michigan, Nebraska under. I don't think Martinez will turn the ball over like the Wisconsin quarterback did. And Nebraska's got a tough defense. Watching the Oklahoma game, Oklahoma couldn't do shit on them. I put in a prop bet in the SMU game, any team to score over 40 at once. So, yeah, that's a joke. SMU will get 40 by halftime. Navy doesn't have a defense. Army's got the defense. Army's the quality team. When the quarterback's healthy, they beat anybody. But in this situation, I don't like Navy's defense at all. So I don't. You're going to get that 40 pretty easily. Is that one of those fan duels? We'll give you 160. I'm noticing a lot of props, which really fuck you up. I mean, it's hard enough picking the game, but I could tell you, like UCLA, if there's a prop that they're going to get 40 points or how many yards the quarterback throws. He's going to have a huge game against Arizona. Navy is the weakest of the military. Yeah. Air Force is strong and Army's strong. Use Bovado. Yeah, okay. Are they still screwing you on your teaser lines like when we would bet them? But I'd stay away from FanDuel. I'm in Texas, so I have to use off. Yeah, well, I'd prefer offshore. It's better odds. I'm seeing odds on these, especially MGM. You got to avoid. Yeah, I was 5 dimes. So you're getting better teaser odds in Bovada. Maybe we'll play a 5 or 16 teaser. Maybe next week. Why is Nevada's line going down against New Mexico State? New Mexico State's terribly. Nevada went from 30 to 28. Strong's the quarterback. They score a lot, so I'm kind of curious about that one. Baylor, West Virginia. I like Baylor with they score. They get 300 yards on running and passing. They're a very balanced team. I don't know how Oklahoma State held them down, but the game got 17-14 at the end, and then Oak State scored with 2 minutes left. But I like Baylor. Oregon State's a sleeper team. They're really strong. They look good against SC. Then they ran the ball against Washington and got the win. Washington State's a kind of weak team. We talked about East Car. Penn State, I took the dog. UCLA. UTSA against Western Kentucky. Western Kentucky's laying 3.5. UTSA went into Memphis, got down 21-0, and won the game 31-28. So they're a solid team, UTSA. Yeah, I know Western Kentucky can throw the ball all around, and it scares you betting against that type of team. But again, this is more risk, so this is hard to bet in a teaser, even though you get 9.5. But definitely, UTSA is a live dog. They're a good team. Hopefully, they'll run the ball and keep it away from Western Kentucky's offense. Michigan State killed Western Kentucky last week. I was impressed with that. I thought they'd give them a little bit of problem, but if you can put pressure on the quarterback and that's all they can do is pass, you're gonna beat them. Yeah, I took Alabama, Georgia under, Michigan, Nebraska under, absolutely. Thoughts on the Mississippi, Arkansas over 65? I wouldn't think that'd be over because Arkansas is a really strong run team. And I think they're going to do what Alabama did. They're just going to pound the ball at Ole Miss. And Arkansas, I bet Arkansas gets 3 interceptions tonight. So is it going to get over 60? Right, because over under 66, you tease it down to 60. That could be close. I think Arkansas is a live dog in the game, getting 12. if you just looked at the game with no line, go who's going to win Arkansas, Mississippi. I'm not sure that you couldn't say Arkansas is going to win the game. Again, remember they beat Texas and they beat Texas A&M. Against Georgia, it's a whole different animal going against that defense. Against Mississippi, you can see Alabama pounded the ball. So I look for Arkansas to run the ball down their throats today and could keep it under 60s, probably doable, but Arkansas is a strong team with a good defense, and they're going to pound it. So Mississippi's not going to have the ball that long. Mississippi, they can score a lot of points, but not on Alabama, for sure not on Georgia. Against good defensive teams, you watch them against A&M, they're going to struggle. A&M's got a top defense. Arkansas's got a good defense. So I don't see maybe against LSU, they'll light it up a little bit more. I hate LSU's quarterback, Johnson. He's terrible. He just looks bad, makes bad decisions. But that's LSU. But yeah, I mean Arkansas, they're going to run it down their throats and run the clock. So it could make it. Not that I'd go maybe under 72, but you could play over 60, but it'd be very risky. Arkansas in 12, I think, would be better. But that's the problem when you play these high offensive teams. But usually, like I would look for Ole Miss against like Vanderbilt or weak defensive teams. That's what you want. That's when Mississippi, like UCLA tonight, right? They can score 100, but if they play a tough defensive team, it's going to be different. But when they play an Arizona, who's a terrible defense, they're going to light it up. They're going to go up and down the field and light it up. Again, UCLA has to win the game because they already lost. They lost to Fresno, but I think they lost another one. It's funny. They beat LSU. They lose to Fresno, and then they lose. Who did that? I thought they lost last week. But they have to win the game, and they're playing Arizona. So look for them to pile it on. So that's a better over or a better path. UCLA is 61. So I could see UCLA getting to 55 much easier than Ole Miss getting to 60. Where do you place your bets? I have a bookie. I've had a bookie for a long time, friend of my dad's, and I use him. I get good odds, and that's what I do. Occasionally, me and Alex will play 5 or 6 team teasers together on his site. He makes the bet, and I get a percentage. But I don't like going online. I don't like people knowing my business, so I don't want it online too much. So it's usually with my bookie. And I've had them for years, and every Tuesday we settle up. So that's what I do. But I've been using bookies since the 70s. First, my dad had a bookie, so he would make bets for me when I was really young. And I made enough money to buy one of the first VCRs, those heavy ones that cost $1,000. So I bought one in the 70s, and then I bought a car, and one thing leads to another. But I used to go through him, and then he died, and then I just go through his bookies. And usually I've gone through quite a few bookies because they're not smart enough to take my bets or to play with me. There was a scenario, I think it was, let's say in the mid 80s, it was rivalry weekend. So you had, USC, UCLA, Michigan, Ohio State, Iowa or Illinois, Indiana, Purdue, Washington State, Oregon State. I went 22-1. I lit it up. All the dogs came in. I got, okay. Sure, Alex, have a nice day. Good luck tonight. And I'll root for Texas for you. So I nail it. I go, so all of a sudden the bookie goes, oh, I can't take your action anymore. Now, instead of taking my action, realizing that this guy can go 22-1, maybe I should bet with him. He said, the FBI has my phone tapped. I've never heard that one from a bookie before. And so he said, sorry, I can't take any more of your bets because they don't want winners. They only want losers. And my thought was, why don't you just take my bets and bet them? If I'm 22-1 and I'm kicking your ass and you don't want my action, you've got all the winners. What are you doing? So it was easier back in the 70s and 80s to bet. You had the Steelers, you had the Niners, you had Lawrence Taylor. It was very easy. Nowadays, it's so much scrambled eggs with the new coaches and these quarterbacks, and let's get Justin Fields in the game and Trevor Lawrence. That would never happen way back then. Montana didn't even play his first year. Neither did Manning. I think Manning might have played, but didn't. He sucked. But that was different. He had played 4 years at Tennessee, or Montana 4 years at Notre Dame, and you slowly got him in. And you could see right away they were good quarter. They were ready. These guys aren't ready. That's why we bet against, like, Fields against Oakland. I mean, I gotta love Oakland in the game. Oakland's laying what do I got? 5.5 against 44.5. How the hell is Fields going to beat Oakland? He threw one lucky pass against the Lions because they blew coverage, and now he's a superstar. He's still, let's put it this way: no Ohio State quarterback's ever done anything in the pros, and if he was any good, Urban Meyer should have drafted him and ran the Ohio State offense instead of drafting Lawrence. Lawrence is no day at the beach either. I say it's 12:06, so it's game time. If you have any other questions, please ask. Happy to help. But that's basically, so we were getting into betting teasers. So what you're doing is you're analyzing the teams. Are they a B team's just a little less than an A. I like them, but I don't love them. A teams are Alabama and Georgia and teams that are very strong. And then when you've got a Z team, you got UCLA playing Arizona, a very strong versus a very weak. UCLA is going to score, and that's where you put them in multiple teasers, or this Georgia defense or Alabama. When you get that strong team, and they, like Kansas City last week, the back was against the wall, they had to win. Then you put it in two teasers and you bet it a little bit stronger, but you're not killing your bankroll. So your object here is to build your bankroll. That's really the name of the game here. And that's it. I mean, so as you build it, then you increase it. If we have bad weeks and the bankroll goes down, you reduce your bet, and then you wait, but every week there's good games. So you want to keep alive to make, okay, we'll get them this week with UCLA, or, so it's the same logic. It's the same bet. Poker's different. Poker, you're playing the player. I got pocket aces. Oh, who am I playing against? Is he going to bluff me? Is he a tight guy? So poker is a little different animal because of the player you're playing against, versus here, you're really looking at what the team is, right? So who's the team I'm playing, and what's their, so are they a good, like here, Arkansas, we talked about the Arkansas Mississippi game. Arkansas is going to run it down their throat. Mississippi doesn't have that strong defense to really stop them. But how is Mississippi going to score a lot when they're on the field playing defense against this Arkansas running attack? So that's really what you're looking at, is who's the opponent, like poker, and then you can go. So no, I wouldn't recommend necessarily over in that game, because Arkansas doesn't. They're going to pound you with their running. Like against A&M, it was 20-10. They did handle Texas. I think they scored 38 on them. So when you have that, that's what you're looking for. So that game could get to 60, but that's the matchup we're talking about. So you want Mississippi against Mississippi State, or a team with a weaker defense, South Carolina, maybe Vanderbilt, or these non-conference guys. But in conference against a strong defense, a passing team's not going to work. That's why you need balance. That's why I talk about balanced offensive. Now, if you got balanced offense, there's nothing to, Georgia is probably the only team against a balanced offense, but keep in mind, Clemson does not have a balanced offense. They don't have a passing attack. And then they just killed Arkansas last week, who's a good running team. Alabama's got balance. That'll be a good game to see if Alabama can move on Georgia. They're probably the only team that can, because they can pass it and spread them out a little bit and run it. But that's why you want to balance. That's why I talk about Baylor and Oregon State. They can run and pass. So when they play a good defense, like Oregon State played Washington last week, and I'm looking at the box score late in the third quarter, and the quarterback's like 5 of 9 for 50 yards. I mean, is he hurt? Is what's going? And I watched the highlights, and they ran the ball down their throats, and they won the game running the ball. So when they needed to pass at the end, he passed them, and he got them down, and they kicked the field goal to win it. But that's what you're looking for, is a balanced team, and that's what I look for. That's one of the first things I look for. How strong is their defense? The strong defenses create the upsets, not the strong offenses, because you can play a 2-deep zone and blitz the quarterback. You can get to them. They can't run it like Maryland. They couldn't run it against Iowa, so they were screwed. So that's what happens. That's why you look for the good defense. So you're looking for various things. You're trying to be selective in your teasers, take the risk out of the play, and then you bet different amounts. So the stronger the game, the more amount you want. And then you're trying to win for the week and build up you're building the bankroll. As you build the bankroll, you increase your bet. And that way, because you don't want one bet to hurt you. You don't want to have a $5,000 bankroll and bet $3,000 on one game, lose it. There goes your bankroll. You want to bet $3,000 when your bankroll is up to $10,000, and you find a lock and you go, shit, that game's, I love that game. That game I'm going to play strong. And then you get my opinion on it, and I go, yeah. Or I give you my 25-unit lock, and you go, yeah, that's what I want. So I've been very hot on my locks, except for last week. Army's quarterback is injured, and Tennessee looks like crap. My sub lock was Kansas City, Seattle. Kansas City, they were both in a must-win game. That I see Russell Wilson, he's out till early December with the finger. I saw their backup. I'm not really impressed with him. He played, I think, at West Virginia. He was not really that good, but I think he'll be adequate for Seattle. So, again, how do you bet him without Russell Wilson? That's probably you lay off of him for a while and you see. But we'll talk pros tomorrow. But the injuries are key because it affects the strength of the team, right? So Army is an A, and then the quarterback's out. They're not an A anymore, so you can't really bet them. But that's what you're looking for. So I think it's time to watch some football. I don't know what the noon game is. I think Michigan State, Rutgers here. I'm in Michigan. Maybe Ohio State, Maryland. I don't know what time they're on. Good games. Air Force, Wyoming's a good game. Oregon State, Washington State. Oregon State should beat them. SMU, big over Navy. Baylor, West Virginia should be a good game. Oklahoma, Texas. That might be the noon game. Good game. I don't know. Probably I took the over in it. Texas and 9.5 maybe. Under the Michigan game. Alabama. I took Penn State in 8.5. That line's down to 1.5. And then UCLA at night should blow out Arizona. Those are some of my stronger picks for today. And Georgia's under. Georgia under, Nebraska under. And then if Cunningham plays, I like the Virginia Louisville over. And let's see, Oklahoma, Texas could go over. LSU, Kentucky's probably at under. Kentucky's got a strong defense. All right, everybody. Well, have a great day. And any more questions, let me know. I'll try to get on earlier tomorrow. I got up early and then I fell back asleep. So anyway, nothing major in the line changes. So anyway, good luck, and we'll keep an eye on the pros for tomorrow. All right, everybody. Have a great day. Thank you. Again, www.teaserking.com. I have a nice lot going today, and a lot of college and pros. Okay, thanks very much.